Einstein once said, and I quote, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing nothing." Good morning, everyone, galaxy of intellectuals, esteemed dignitaries, professors, and participants. We appreciate your patience and thank you for joining us today. I, Maria Tattil, on behalf of the Center for Environment Studies, Law and Policy, CMR University School of Legal Studies, welcome you all to the National Conference on Climate Justice 2024. The CMR University Center for Environment Studies, Law and Policy was established in the year 2021 with the vision of creating legal awareness and imparting knowledge on environmental law. Since its inception, it has undertaken numerous initiatives in fostering discussion and capacity building, in addition to the various conferences and talks presided by renowned scholars and other relevant stakeholders and industry specialists from across the nation. This is the second national seminar organized by the Center aimed at inspiring to take action and gradually transitioning toward a circular economy. The first national seminar organized by the Center addressed the legal issues and disputes in relation to the natural environment and subsequently analyzed the recent developments in the system governing environmental laws. The seminar propounded on the social and scientific uncertainties in environmental law which hinder its administration. This year, the conference is themed on international accountability and national responsibility on anthropogenic climate change. The conference addresses the pivotal role of the G20 nations responsible for 85% of global carbon emissions and advocates for transitioning to a cleaner energy sources due to the environmental and health hazards associated with coal-fired plants. It gathers prominent academic scientists, researchers, scholars, and students to exchange experiences and research findings on law and climate change. It seeks to offer an interdisciplinary platform for discussing recent issues, trends, practical challenges, and proposing solutions for a healthier society. Today, the conference is set to proceed in 4 sessions. The inaugural session shall end at 11 a.m., followed by a short break, and the attendees are required to report back at 11:15 a.m. The second session shall conclude at 12:45 p.m., followed by the break for lunch, and the participants are required to report back at 1:30 p.m. The third session will be concluding at 3:45 p.m., followed by a short break, and the attendees are required to report back at 4 p.m. This will be followed by the final session, which will be the presentation of papers. We shall now begin. Music is a language of spirit. It opens the secret of life, bringing peace and abolishing strife. I now invite Dharani, a second-year student of LLB, to render the invocation song.
Vandeham Sharada, Vandeham Sharada, Visharada, Jnanada, Varadha, Vandeham Sharada, Shuddha Sattva Swarupini, Swachha Hridaya Nivasini, Swaprakasha Rupini, Vandeham Sharada, Paratpada Vidya Bhushitam, Suryavara Sujanam Sevitam, Paratpada Vidya Bhushitam, Suryavara Sujanam Sevitam, Sujanam Sulavam, Suswaravadya Niratam, Sujanam Sulavam, Suswaravadya वन्देऽहं शारदां विशारदां ज्ञानदां वरदां वन्देऽहं शारदाम्.
Thank you, Dharani, for the euphonious melody. That was indeed a feast for the ears. I now invite our Honorable Dean, CMR University School of Legal Studies, Professor Dr. T.R. Subramanya, to deliver the welcome address.
A very good morning to all of you present here.
Good morning, sir.
Ever since the first conference that has taken place to regulate the environment in 1972, lots of water has flown down. It was in Stockholm. The members international community felt that the environment and the species and Mother Earth and the resources are deteriorating. And it has to be regulated, it has to be controlled. So thereafter, the delegations took place at Stockholm from 1st June to 15th June. 113 states participated and they adopted as many as 26 principles. Then, subsequent to the adoption of the Stockholm Conference, it was in the year 1982 the World Charter for Nature was adopted at the United Nations, which was followed by a report which was submitted by Madam Brundtland in the year 1987. And this is a book which was written by Madam Brundtland, which is known as Our Common Future, at the behest of the United Nations Commission for Environment and Development. Subsequent to that, in the year 1987, two conventions, one convention and a protocol to the convention was adopted, and it was done by Vienna Convention on the ozone layer and the Montreal Protocol to the Convention on Ozone Layer. The first one adopted in 1985 and the protocol was adopted in the year 1987. Thereafter, all of you know, the members of the international community celebrated the 20th year of the Stockholm Declaration at Rio in 1992. The result was two major conventions were adopted. One happened to be the Convention on Biological Diversity of 1992, and the other one happened to be the Convention on Climate Change. And this was an initial attempt that was made. Thereafter, members felt that it is just not enough. Then we come to a major protocol that is called the Kyoto Protocol. Today we make a reference to what we call as the development of clean energy. And the development of clean energy for the first time found its place in the Kyoto Protocol. And subsequent to that, in the year 2010, we find the Kyoto Protocol as well. And then in the year 2021, we find what we call as the Glasgow Declaration. So these are a few of the conventions or declarations or resolutions adopted by the international community. And these are generally to regulate what we call as the climate change. Now the climate is changing because of the release of carbon dioxide, the carbon monoxide, and many other things. You might be knowing that when we take into consideration, India releases at least 6% of the world carbon into the atmosphere. The United States releases into about 16%, and the European Union about 10%, and the state of China is 28% of the world's release. So in such an inhospitable climate, the subject is all the more important for us. And we have wonderful speakers, people from the field with immense experience. And on behalf of the CMR University, first I welcome the respected Sri Malkhed. Mr. Malkhed happened to be an AFS, Indian Forest Service, an officer who served distinguished capacity, and the person who will be introducing the officer. and he held distinguished positions including the registrar at the Karnataka State Law University. We had a long association and we had done some wonderful work, especially under his guidance. So when I will be serving as the head of the university. Sir, we are honored to have you. We have another speaker who has visited us maybe 2-3 times, and is also a wonderful speaker as well. And he had served distinguished positions in the Karnataka cadre. He comes from the Indian Forest Service, held important positions, contributed much like the previous person in many developmental activities in the growth of forest and environment. Sir, we welcome you on behalf of the CMR Group of Institutions and Management. We have another important person, and she is Madam Shishira Gurpur. She is the Dean of the Symbiosis Law School. There are as many as 4 law schools that are established and functioning under the Symbiosis International University. She is the Dean of all the 4, and she is the Director of the Law School, Symbiosis Law School at Pune. Madam, we are honored to have you. And most of our national seminars are incomplete without the presence of Madam. That virtually speaks about the elegance and the quality and the grit and the competence in the subject of Madam Shishira Gurpur. I also thank welcome Mr. Praneshwaran and all the learners and all the teachers of the CMR Law School who are present here. Once again, best wishes for you today.
Thank you, sir. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. And now invite the dignitaries to come forward to light the lamp of wisdom. I request the audience to rise during the lighting of the lamp. Please. We have with us today Mr. Subhash Malkere, IFS. Subhash Malkere, sir, is an Indian Forest Service officer of the 1989 batch. He joined Karnataka in 1991 and has worked in various capacities in Forest Department as well as outside. In his initial years of service, he was closely associated with the Operation Veerappan and has worked in various wings of the department such as social forestry, territorial, working plants, wildlife, among others. During his lateral stint, he worked for organizations such as Jungle Lodges and Resorts, Mysore Paper Mills, the Ayush, Kionics, and has also served as a registrar of Karnataka State Law University. Currently, he is the Principal Chief Conservator of Forests, Wildlife, and Chief Wildlife Warden, Karnataka. In his present capacity, he is dealing with several complex issues, mainly managing the man-animal conflict. We are honored to have you with us, sir. I now invite Mr. Subhash Malkere, sir, to deliver the inaugural address.
Respected Professor T.R. Subramania, sir, with whom I had an administrative relation when I was in KSLU. At that point of time, though we had administrative relation, but our personal relations also grew together, and that's why I cannot say no to his invitation being here today. Although I am not a legal expert or anything of that sort, but nevertheless he thought it fit for me to inaugurate this session. I am honored, sir. Professor Shishikala Gurpur, a close friend Manoj Kumar, Sri Vijay Praneshwaram, all the faculty of Center for Environmental Studies in Law, and dear students, climate change is here and we are all facing it. Even today we are facing it. As I can see, most of the dignitaries as well as I myself have shunned court and are sitting here, and most of them, you have also removed your coats. That means we are facing the heat. Bangalore has never seen such heat. If you are from Bangalore and if you are from outside also, we have seen that usually by the time such temperatures rise are there, by evening you will get showers. It's not happening for the past 3 months. We are waiting for showers, no showers. Water scarcity in Bangalore, it has become truth. We were speaking about it a decade back. It may happen, it has happened. So every day we are getting new milestones where we are facing this, but as a human being we are not able to address it effectively. Minister from Tuvalu, who was addressing COP26 in 2021, addressed the UN Assembly from standing in sea, because the island, which is in Pacific Ocean, is getting submerged by the day. They are seeing rise of water levels every day. Rise in temperature is also giving rise to water levels. This being the case, we are imminently facing the crisis of climate change on day-to-day basis. In Forest Department, if you want to ask me, we are also facing the same. I will come to that little later. But as your topic says, climate justice. So justice for whom? Are all human beings equal on this planet? Or there are some who require justice? And what is the role of students like you or the future generation that is there in front of us? And what you need to do in future to address this issue of climate justice? If every human being was same, he should get all the similar rights, all the similar facilities, all the similar whatever each person is getting, everyone should get equally, but that is not happening. Climate is affecting people in a different way. It is affecting ladies in a different way, it is affecting disabled people in a different way, it is affecting certain nations which are low-lying. In fact, in India also, if you go to see, we may have submergence of, today we have Sundarban National Park between Assam, West Bengal and Bangladesh. It may all get submerged and you won't have tigers there. This is one of the things which I am giving you a direct example how it will affect our, as the temperatures rise. Professor Subramania has actually given a very nicely chronologically how things are improving and how we are trying to address the issues. But where we are addressing, it is not sufficient. Today's carbon emissions are far more than what we can assimilate. There is a concept called when are we, for a year, how much carbon we can sequester. And each year, the date in which it is getting assimilated is now shifting to lesser number of days. So, till a few years back it was in September. Last year it was on 22nd August. This year it may come by 8th August that we have finished off whatever was the quota for one whole year of carbon sequestration. It will be over by say somewhere around 10th of August. And then whatever we are, whatever emissions we are making, that will be the additionality on this earth. So each year cumulatively, we are increasing this effect of climate change. Climate change has also affected our forests, wildlife, as well as all the natural beings. If you go to see the biodiversity within the forests, there has been a tremendous change in the composition, the flowering season, the fruiting season. These are, as you know, whole earth is was on ecological balance. I would give you an example. Say somewhere around 1 lakh years back, when there were no human beings, and there was no impact of humans on this earth, how it would have been like? There, everything was in a balance. An animal killing another animal was a part of ecosystem, or the bees, the birds, the butterflies pollinating a particular plant. All this changed. This was like this till 400 years back, 350 years back or so. Industrial revolution has hastened the process, and on day-to-day basis we are now experiencing it more. The other day I was in Bandipur National Park on my inspection, and I could see flowering of Butea monosperma trees advanced to 3 months. Now the effect of this will be the migratory birds which come and pollinate the trees have still not arrived in the forest. So flower will come, it will wilt, it will fall down, but there won't be any pollination, there won't be any fruiting. So like this you will have a different effect of each and every on each and every species. It happens very differently. The increase in man-animal conflict, as rightly said, that today we are facing a severe. Right now I am on phone call, getting continuous phone calls only for the purpose that one person has died in Madikeri by elephant trampling, and people are doing unrest there, and they are wanting my intervention in that. So at this point of time, when I am standing before you, I am also dealing with something called man-animal conflict. The rise in number of human deaths due to wild elephants or wild animals is on rise each and every year. This is happening because the food that was available for the wild animals is reducing slowly, and our conservation efforts of the department in conserving forests as well as wildlife has increased the number of wildlife. So increase in the number of wildlife along with reduction in food inside the forest, and then explosion of human population. All our medical care has increased our population to such an extent that we are not utilizing the carrying capacity. Had we been in a state where, as earlier, our life expectancy when it was 47, 48 for human beings when we got freedom in 1947, it was less than 50 years. Then the population of the country would have been also not 1.5 billion, it would have been somewhere around 70, 80 crores. So that was a manageable population for them. The land mass has not increased. So per unit land mass for a person has decreased considerably. Or number of people in per square kilometer are increasing rapidly. Especially in urban landscapes, it is beyond control of anyone. If I give you an example of an apartment building, how many people are staying in per square foot if you calculate, and what is their impact on daily basis on the untreated water, sludge, garbage, plastics that are being expelled, how much of it is there? If you calculate it, you will understand that we are impacting on this earth far more than what its carrying capacity is. But we cannot cull human beings, we cannot kill them. Then what we need to do at such point of time? And then that is where the concept of climate justice will come. So the people who are suffering today, they are suffering only because of our own human interventions only. And because of human beings having interspread over all the forested land, where have the forests of country gone? That wild elephants or leopards or tigers have to come out. They have been fragmented for the developmental activities of human beings only. So all these have interconnected, and networking has happened in such a way that we are unable to lay our hands on it. To give you an example, I will just give you a few examples that have impacted. Climate change has impacted so many species that we have not been able to see. I had to make a list because I even cannot remember so many names are there. The fish, the increasing temperatures have changed in the whales, it has changed the migratory patterns completely and the number has reduced considerably. Similarly, in case of flycatchers of Netherlands, the chick emergence time itself has changed. And in case of turtles, the very interesting thing about turtles is their sex ratio is determined based on the temperatures. The rising temperatures have now increased the ratio of females more than the males. So there will be a time when we will not have turtles in the seas and this kind of impacts will happen to the human beings. So justice, the climate justice is not only for the human beings, which we are now addressing in a small way, but it is also for all the wild animals and all the earthlings that are there, all living organisms on this earth, millions and billions of species. They are all impacted by climate change, and we need to give justice to all these species. That is my only. This conference will certainly address not only human justice, sir, and it will also address to these biodiversity areas and wild animals in such a way that we may be able to give justice to all the living organisms on this earth. Is my plea to this conference. And with these few words, I thank the organizers for inviting me here to inaugurate this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with the details. We are honored to have with us Mr. Manoj Kumar, IFS, keynote speaker for the day. Manoj Kumar, sir, is the Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forests, Ministry of Ecology and Environment, Government of Karnataka. He holds a PG Diploma in Wildlife Management from the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, and a diploma from the Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy, Dehradun, with specialization in forests and allied subjects. He held the second rank in the Indian Forest Service examination conducted by the Union Public Services Commission in 1997. With an outstanding academic record, he was awarded the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie, Esprit de Corps Silver Medal for the Best Probationer in 1997, the N.R. Nair Memorial Silver Medal for the Best Management Plan in the 25th Postgraduate Diploma course in Wildlife Management at Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, in 2004, to name a few. He was also awarded the Certificate of Merit for being the overall best student during weapons training at the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, in 1997. From being the Assistant Conservator of Forests under the Karnataka Forest Department, working on the protection of forests, he has held a multitude of significant positions, including that of the Executive Director at the Zoo Authority of Karnataka, as well as being the Member Secretary at the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. He has authored 5 books, a few of them which go by the title Isozymes and Their Application in Forestry in the Book of Advances Forestry Research in India, Volume 16, Shade Trees for Avenues, Application of Tissue Culture Techniques for Tree Improvement, to name a few. He has also authored multiple pieces in the arena of biological and genetic diversity study in plants. It is indeed a highbrow felicity to have you amongst us, sir. I welcome you to deliver the keynote address.
Respected Dean, Professor Dr. T.R. Subramania, sir, my senior colleague and then the Principal Chief Conservator of Forest and Chief of Warden of Karnataka, Shri Subhash Mankere, sir. Today is another important resource person, Professor Dr. Shashikala Gupta, Raneshwaram, Director, CMR University, faculty and my dear student friends. It's indeed a great pleasure to come to the CMR University and Professor Subramanian studies here. And he has always been very fine academician actually. When he was serving as a university registrar at the Karnataka State Law University, the amount of lectures, amount of the resource persons they had from across the country was quite amazing and it was quite enriching for officers like me. And whenever he calls us, then whether the subject we know it or not, we feel like it's an honor and also privilege to be here with the students like you, bright students like you, and then share a few thoughts. Today we are sitting here for the National Conference on Climate Justice. It's a wonderful topic actually. But we have confused the society enough when it comes to climate change. We know the reality, as I was also speaking in another address, that climate change is a reality. But there are enough number of articles to tell that it is just business as usual. People say that it had happened, it will happen, it is going to happen. So take it as it comes. There are many proponents of who say that climate change is not even a reality. But people are experiencing climate change. And this is where exactly our role comes. And people say that climate change is a reality, and there are people that are saying that climate change is not a reality. The proponents of the theory that climate change is not a reality have vested interest, and that's where the justice is very, very crucial and important when it comes to climate change. I was just going through a few of the articles on climate change, and it was indeed a very learning experience for me, and also quite nice understanding I was able to get when it comes to climate change, especially climate justice. This climate justice is something which connects the climate crisis both socially, racially, and also environmental issues. It basically recognizes the disproportionate impact, what our another address and sir was speaking, on the various people, the people who are committing the crime or the people who are really responsible for climate change, or may not be the ones who are directly getting affected, but the people who have not contributed anything to the climate change are the ones who are going to suffer in the coming years. To give you a simple example, there is an island nation, Republic of Kiribati, which has some 32 atolls, a small island in the Central Pacific Ocean. They are the ones who are really living in a very, very sustainable way, lifestyle, not expert in the environment in any manner other than the fishing and then eating and then supplying fish to other parts of the world. And they have been in danger, their life is in danger, their islands are going to be submerged. They have not done any mistake in their entire life, but their islands are going to be submerged. So this is where the climate justice is, a matter of concern for all of us. Somebody who's really damaging or who is contributing to the climate change is not the one who is not directly, may not be directly getting affected, but the one who is really not contributing anything, rather helping the nature, helping the climate change mitigation, is the ones who is going to suffer. This is where the climate change or climate justice has its role to play. There's one more terminology which we keep on using when it comes to climate change, is a lifestyle or behavior, and that is measured in terms of footprint, ecological footprint or carbon footprint, what we talk about. If you take the carbon footprint or ecological footprint for the United States, it's almost like 8.1 global hectares per person, 8.1 global hectare per person. But when you take the global perspective, means globally, the average, or for that matter, the global biocapacity, we call it, is just 1.6 global hectares per person. So if you divide 8.1 by 1.6, you get something around 5.1. It means if all of us decide today to live a lifestyle of an American, we require 5.1 planets. One planet is not enough, we require 5.1 planets. Forget about this style of lifestyle. So we think that no, we'll just live the way we are living today. Just normal life. The Indians living the Indian style are only living in American. In 35 years, our population, for that matter, by 2050, our population is going to be somewhere around 9.6 billion. And this 9.6 billion population requires minimum 3 planets. Where do we think those planets when we have only one planet? This is where exactly the climate change is going to impact us, and we still are not awakened. We still are sleeping. We have not been doing enough when it comes to climate change, because climate change is another important dimension, or rather fundamentally, climate change, when we talk about, is basically an ethical issue. It's an ethical issue in the sense, as I said, like for example, to give you a simple example, today we are all talking about climate change, and then I received a bouquet with plastic wrap on it. I have a plastic water bottle on my table. So this is what the climate ethics is about. We are talking something about climate change, and we are not, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's not the only event where I think many events I'm talking about. This is where fundamentally we are at fault. When we want ethically and morally, if we are not able to correct the climate change, and we are not able to change anything in our lifetime. So that's why the UN framework for Convention on Climate Change has a very nice principles enshrined in it, and then our Honorable Supreme Court has come up with critical judgments where it has really emphasized how the climate change is going to impact us and what we need to do. The principles are very, very simple, like prevention of harm, precautionary approach, justice and equity, which Sir was talking about, and then during his inaugural introductory speech, Subramanian Sir was also talking about sustainable development, good lands, our common future. That's also another principle, and solidarity, scientific knowledge and integrity in decision making. I'll talk to you about this scientific knowledge and integrity a little later. But before that, when it came to the first principle of prevention of harm, basically, prevention of harm is, especially in Supreme Court, a lot of judgment, especially in India. Each judgment is a scholarly article. It's not, doesn't talk about it, doesn't look like it's a judgment from the law books. It looks like as it has come from the scientific journals. For people like me who's a science graduate, I get really enriched by reading those articles. It looks like some review of literature I'm reading, something from the climate change. That kind of judgment, be it from starting from MC Mehta to Godavarman case, you read some of those judgments are really wonderful. And when I was talking about these precautionary principles and all those things, I just share few thoughts on that Article 21, which how Supreme Court has said that right to life has been linked to the environment and also the ecological balance in several judgments. So now the Article 21 itself is brought into the climate change. Now climate change justice derives, all the strength it derives from Article 21 now. Then preservation, protection of the environment are very much part and parcel of Article 21 of the Constitution. Then in several judgments which I have gone through, when we were talking about the second principle of, when it comes to climate change ethics, is the precautionary principle, and that's where the polluter-based principle comes into effect. Means authorities like us are supposed to be anticipate, prevent, and also work towards arresting the causes of those environmental limitations. And we were just discussing before I came to this hall with Sir about the water crisis in Bangalore City. Do you think it's really a crisis? Are we really not able to manage this crisis? The amount of rainfall we receive in Bangalore City is enough for generations to come. 1 year's rainfall is enough for me to give you 10 years of water. But still what we are doing, we have computerized completely, and then water is not getting stored or getting into the soil. I was the Deputy Conservator of Forest in Bidar. Bidar happens to be my native place as well. And that time, around 42 villages were being supplied water through tankers. It was costing that time the district administration 32 paisa per liter. Just taking the water and giving it to the villagers. Before joining this Indian Forest Service, I also served as a scientist in Soil and Water Conservation Research Institute there. So having got that knowledge of soil and water conservation, I just thought that these 42 villages can be addressed. So I had to visit each and every village and understand the landscape they have, especially the watershed area, and then where the water can be stored, and then whatever the amount rainfall receives, how it can be arrested and seen that the water gets into the soil. You won't believe, till date, I have to know every Bangalore city is suffering, and if I keep monitoring the data or monitoring what's happening in my district, no Tahsildar is supplying the water to tankers even today. I'm talking 2003, almost 11 years down the line. So things are that if you are really serious enough to address this issue, we don't need to bring even one drop of water from Kaveri. We have enough water in Bangalore City to address the water. We only have to have the sensitivity towards addressing. That's where the ethics I'm talking about. That's where the climate change, climate justice we are talking about. People know it, but people don't want to address it. That's a real serious problem. It's nothing to do with the technology. It's nothing to do with the it's only the mindset of the people that we are not able to be an artist. Another important thing is about the what the Supreme Court has enshrined for climate change or environmental pollution issues is the intergenerational equity. This is actually where the sustainable development comes into picture. And this really expresses that present generation should enjoy only that much which is not going to lead to a deterioration to the future generations. We don't have any right to destroy the future generations, the environment or future generations' life. So that's the reason why when it came to the natural resources, again the Supreme Court has in several judgments has enshrined that the public trust doctrine with regard to natural resources, especially the government to protect the resources such as air, water, sea and forest for the enjoyment of general public rather than to permit their use for private ownership or commercial purposes. That's the reason why the forest laws today are so well protected in the forest that no forest land can be given to any private person for that matter. That's how the Supreme Court has been so seriously giving judgments after judgment, and unfortunately we are not being able to implement in practice. Until unless we do that, it's very, very difficult for us to address this real issue of climate change. And when it comes to the climate change, there's one more issue I was talking when I was telling in the beginning that the integrity of knowledge, and decision making. Most of us use different smartphones. I may be using the iPhone, somebody using the Samsung and all. And each one has a different charger. And we have one charger for all. This is where the integrity in knowledge comes into picture. All of us can use a common charger. There can be one charger in our house. We have 10 people having 10 different chargers hanging in different sockets. This is also the reason why I was sent by the state to the University of Bangalore, where I was supposed to be studying the climate change issues. And when we were studying and we were taken to the Wales, the Parliament House, the Wales has come out with this Parliament building like a banyan tree. We have panchayat that we call it, where a lot of decisions and judgments were given sitting under the banyan tree. Like that, the Wales has come out with the concept of the entire Parliament like a banyan tree, which is made out of wood, very sustainable. And they have been talking about this bioeconomy and green GDP ever since they realized that the climate change is an issue. But here in our country, we are so mad about our increasing our GDP, but we are not even bothered about ecology and environment. And that's not going to be sustainable. So any amount of GDP growth is not going to be sustainable as long as you are not bothered about your ecological security. I always talk about ecological security in the sense because, see, territorial integrity is enough. Okay, our army is there, there is an air force, there is a navy. They're all able to protect your territorial integrity. But when it comes to ecological integrity, I think our natural resources, especially the forest and wildlife, they matter a lot. And any country which is not able to give enough attention to this ecological security is doomed to die one day. Whatever may be your GDP and all, but it's not going to sustain your country forever. So hence, the justice, as Sir was also telling, is not only for human beings, but also for the entire ecological or the living beings. And when it comes to the climate justice, as I said, really it is ethically we are not good. Morally we are corrupt. That's the reason why we are not being able to address this issue called climate change. The day we are become ethically and morally right, I'm sure the climate change issue will become a past, and we are going to lead a real dignified and ecologically sound lifestyle. So we need to change our behavior and lifestyle in order to address this issue. That's what I wanted to tell. It is not just some country or some nation, it is every individual need to be ethically and morally sensitive towards this climate change issue. So thank you so much, sir. I'm sure this conference is going to deliver on several issues. It's wonderful resource persons like I know in Pyramid, sir, and others. So I'm sure you are all going to be engaged when the conference is getting over today. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and then have great learning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for having shared your knowledge and expert views. We shall now proceed to the felicitation of our esteemed dignitaries for the session. I invite our Honorable Dean, Professor Dr. T.R. Subramanya, and Director, Professor Dr. V.J. Praneshwaran, to felicitate Mr. Subhash Malkere, IFS, for his continued support and efforts in contributing towards the centre's growth. We now felicitate Mr. Manoj Kumar Sir, IFS, for his constant endeavours in adopting the best of innovative practices. Thank you, dignitaries. I now request Director, CMI University School of Legal Studies, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Dignitaries on the dais, participants, faculty and their students. We are honored to be having with us Mr. Subhash Malkere, IFS Principal Chief Conservator of Forests, Chief Wildlife Warden, Karnataka, and Chief Wildlife Warden, Aranya Bhavan, sparing his time, his valuable time, and addressing us. Thank you very much, sir. I request our beloved team to kindly hand over the memento to the guest. We are also thankful to Mr. Manoj Kumar, IFS Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forests, Ministry of Ecology and Environment. Thank you very much, sir. I request our beloved team to kindly hand over the memento. We are also thankful to Professor Dr. Shashikala Kapoor, John Mohan Chair Professor, Director, Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and Dean, Faculty of Law, Symbiosis International Dean University, Pune. Thank you, Madam, for your PhD presence and taking all the sessions. Also thankful to all the organizers, the center for having organized this conference and successfully inaugurated the conference, the participants, students, and all the faculty who are involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I request the attendees to kindly rise for the national anthem.
Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravida, Uttara, Banga, Vindhya, Himachala, Yamuna, Ganga, Uchchala, Jala, Taranga, Tava Shubha Name Jage, Tava Shubha Ashish Mage, Gaye Tava Jaya Gata, Jaya Gana Mangala Dayak Jaya He, Bharata Bhagya Vidata, Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya 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 He.
Thank you, attendees. We shall now break for tea. Attendees are requested to proceed outside, and you are requested to rejoin the session at 11:15 a.m. Thank you, everyone.